Hey guys, today we'll have a look at the 5 best JRPGs that are still exclusive to the Nintendo DS. So yeah, no remasters, ports, remakes or whatever like these guys, and obviously no only in Japan RPGs, so let's begin! Number 5. Dragon Quest IX. Developed by Level 5 and Square Enix, this game came as a surprise when released. It was still a turn-based RPG, but one with a multiplayer mode, being the first one in the series of its kind. It was also the first one in the main series to star a customizable male or female protagonist. To make matters even more strange, this protagonist is pretty much an angel, looking for some sacred fruits scattered around the world. These fruits can grant wishes to anyone, but also drive people to complete insanity, so the plot is a bit darker than usual. A vocation system was introduced, which is basically a class system, one where you can class up to a different interchangeable job. Another interesting new feature was the battle view. Instead of the classic first-person view, you can now see the enemies roaming around. These made for a more interactive turn-based combat. Other than that, it's classic Dragon Quest, but my point is that this is one of the most unique games across the series. Besides, it felt way more quest-driven than all of its predecessors, despite that being the very nature of the games. As of the making of this video, this critically acclaimed RPG is still exclusive to the Nintendo DS. Number 4. Lumino's Arc. This is a grid-based strategy RPG that's quite obscure. It belongs to a series developed by Imagipoc. 4 games were released, but we only got the first 2 exclusive to the Nintendo DS. This one follows the Garden Children, a special force that fights for the Luminous Church. Their goal is to hunt down witches, simply because they're evil. So yeah, you see where this is going. A story inspired by the twisted inquisition of historical events. The game's simple to understand, a small group of party members move in grids and can either attack, defend, use an item or a skill, etc. In fact, it's so easy to get into and balanced that I recommend it for beginners. Just keep in mind, like many tactical RPGs of its kind, it starts getting more challenging as you go, and eventually you'll have to grind a bit. The view is isometric, but that's its only resemblance to Tactics Ogre and the like. So the graphics are a simplistic style that's easy on the eye, nothing convoluted. One little trivia here is that Yasunori Mitsuda composed some of the tracks in this game. A spiritual successor to this series is called Stella Glow, released exclusively on the 3DS, but shortly after that, the company went bankrupt mainly thanks to the disaster that was Time and Eternity on the PS3. Anyway, give this strategy RPG a chance if you see it, it's pretty damn good. Number 3. Valkyrie Profile, Covenant of the Plume. You know I have a love-hate relationship with this game, but it's a Valkyrie Profile title, so I had to include it. It's brutally hard and quite unbalanced, but if you stick the first playthrough to the mercenaries route, I think you'll be fine. After his father is killed and taken as an inheritor to Valhalla by Lenneth Valkyrie, Wilfred decides to seek vengeance. He does so in a group of mercenaries, but he soon makes a pact with Queen Hel that grants him the power of the plume. This thing overpowers one party member for one battle, but as a result, they die after it ends. And that is precisely what breaks the game in such a brutal way. It forces you to use the plume on one character at the end of every chapter. That's right. No regular permadeath here, don't worry, but that feature in itself is pretty much permadeath. Well, story permadeath. As a strategy RPG, characters move on grids, but when they attack an enemy, this battle screen takes place. Attacks are bound by an action points bar, and each move uses a few. If allies are nearby, they'll join in, each assigned to one specific button of the controller. Like in the previous games, if your collective attacks fill up the bar, one character will be able to execute a special skill. The others might as well, but only if the bar is filled up again after the first skill is executed. Enemies can gang up on you using similar tactics, which is another reason why the game's balance is severed. But man, music by Motoi Sakuraba is incredible, and the story, dark as hell, is the biggest reward ever here. That alone is reason enough to delve into the relentless challenge this little spin-off is. Number 2. Super Robot Tyson OG Saga Endless Frontier. Part of the enormous Super Robot Tyson universe, but as always a completely standalone title, except it's got some guest characters from previous Monolith Soft games, such as Cosmos from Xenosaga, as well as Reiji and Xiaomu from Namco Cross Capcom. The story follows an adult protagonist, that's right, you heard that right, a bounty hunter named Haken. He and his partner, the android Ashen, explore some ruins to find Princess Kaguya. There's a bounty to bring her back to her kingdom, so Haken decides to rescue her. The plot goes on from there into all sorts of crazy bits that slowly start involving the characters from the other games. Despite being mostly a comedy, it's a very well written one. It's important to say that because you are definitely, absolutely definitely going to play this game for the plot, right? A traditional style gameplay awaits you, going from town to town with an overworld in between, ruin and dungeon exploration and random encounters, you know the drill. Battles aren't strategic like in the Super Robot series, instead they grab the 2D combat scene in Namco Cross Capcom. Each of your 4 active combatants has a turn, where they can execute several combos and attack against their stationary enemy. Special attacks are also there, as well as tag team attacks as in a fighting game, meaning you can summon an ally to do some extra damage while you're doing your own damage. While quite an addictive combat, the game's pretty challenging and obviously a bit grindy. Still great though, it was only released in Japan and North America. There's also a sequel that never came out of Japan, but it's been fan translated. Number 1. Sultan Tear Cry. A demented king is obsessed with fate and is trying to control the world using his ideals. So the protagonist, Sig, the classic small village kid with a few friends as a starting party, yeah, he's your guy here. But of course, he'll eventually become the chosen hero to recruit 108 Stars of Destiny to fight the aforementioned king. It's also the first game in the series to fully base its narrative on the Suikoden multiverse and the idea of many parallel worlds. However, it's a standalone title with no relationship with any other game in the series, apart from being considered as a spin-off more than anything else. It does feel like one as it lacks certain elements from the mainline series, such as the strategy battles and the duels. In Tear Cry, you only control 4 active characters in battle, with an additional one that acts strictly as support. Runes are back, of course, and there's also combination attacks between some characters. Everything else is traditional, as in you go around towns to follow the story, take on quests, and of course, recruit many different characters. The game got some small lukewarm reception at first, mainly for the lack of multiple battle systems, criticized also for the mediocre English dub of some characters, particularly the protagonist. But honestly, if you can get past that, you'll find yourself playing a really solid turn-based RPG. This is definitely a must-play on the system. And that's it, the best JRPGs exclusive to the mighty NDS. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!